I'm craving my best IE's own brother. 102. 20. Graduated from the University of China. Earns $1 million a year. Is tall and handsome. Gentle and considerate. Can be milked and attacked. But my girlfriends always say he is a gay. Let me not be colorful. Heart is not good. Hey. He is a gay. I am more satisfied. Until I was pregnant with a child. Running away with a bucket. Before pulling the black back and said, I Raffia. Never be a co-wife. 2 months later. He carried the back of the neck of the girlfriend's door to apologize. Who let you go around saying I am bent? I'm straighter than a rocket. I went to my best friend's house to play. She wasn't there. And it just so happened that her brother was changing his clothes. He was rubbing his body and talking on the phone. There's something wrong with last month's statement. I'll send it to you later. Take a look. The mermaid line is hidden. There is a hidden mole at the collarbone. And she wears an earring in her left ear. I have a document on my computer that needs to be printed. Visual height 183. Broad shoulders and narrow waist. Pack ABS. Face is more top looks. Pure desire with a little gangster. Little Chen in the personnel department. You let him come to me tomorrow. I was directly nailed in place. My eyes staring at him without moving. Until he stood in front of me with his upper body naked. Rubbing his hair. And the water from his bangs still gently splashed my lips. Up close. It's even more handsome. Excellent. Excellent. This is my tribute. I subconsciously swallowed. But he laughed. With a fine light in his eyes. Where did you come from, little friend? How old are you? Blame me. I have a baby face and I'm still only 165. I stood on my tiptoes. Tilted my face up. And answered confidently, 20. To the legal age of marriage. He fixed for a second. Laughed. Then put the towel on my head. Probed my forehead, also no fever. How to say nonsense? Well. The strategy failed. Really is a gay. I should not have expected Matthew. I muffled back, oh. I'm just kidding. I'm looking for King Lee. Is she there? My sister told me that you will come. Let me tell you to wait for a while. She went to the supermarket to buy snacks. Here are some fruits. You can eat whatever you want. Put a TV for you to watch first. Shit. You really treat me like a kid. And you're playing a cartoon. I got angry and turned my head away to ignore him. But I couldn't help but go back to watch it. Matthew's door wasn't closed and there was still a gap. I looked at the gap without blinking. He was in there taking selfies in the mirror. Finding 800 angles. Honestly, I think I should have been that mirror. Or else my cell phone would have worked. I sighed and flipped through my phone. Still missing one of Matthew's tweets. Ever since I found out that my best friend's own brother was a super hot guy. I teared up and spent my days and nights trying to figure out how to get him. But the few times I went to ask Izuko for one, she turned me down so sternly that her hand was about to poke my brain out. Raffia. Don't blame me for not warning you. My brother may be scrappy looking, but there is no one more bent than him. He's so good. He's got the height, the looks, the education, the resume, everything. Why is there no girl around him? It's all boys. Have you ever wondered why? He is purely crooked. I heard him say he doesn't like girls. So drop your unrealistic fantasies and look at someone else. Please. I knew you were greedy. But I didn't realize you were so greedy. Stop being so colorful and mischievous. He's pure Wanchai fairy pura? You're a rich girl with white skin. What do you want? I do not die. Deadbeat set out her brother's Big Eyes account. Daily visual rep 100 times. Handsome man, this kind of thing. Cannot get. Look at is also good. Anyway. See even my. Dean, your special concern has an update. The person you want to see is close by with a photo. I grinned. Opened my phone. And prettily began to enjoy the latest picture of my male god's ABS. Zoom in. Zoom out. Zoom in again. Honestly, I knew exactly how many pores and moles Matthew had on his body. However, I never thought that there was a person sneaking up behind me. Matthew raised his eyebrows. Yo. Good eye. That's natural. I'm still immersed in the 8-pack ABS of the best-looking guy. And my mouth is about to go up to the screen. It just looks a little familiar. How so much like what I just posted. Matthew gently puts me on my shoulder. It's kind of hot. Shima's heart is obvious to everyone. Looking back, my face was cooked for a second. But we people, with our stiff mouth, will never admit defeat. I locked eyes with him. Hard, yes. I am craving your body. Matthew didn't hold back and laughed. A faint sweet scent emanating from the air. It could have been the smell of his shampoo. But I didn't care. It had to be the smell of hormones. Instead, he straightened up and lifted the top he had just put on. Come on. Try your hand at it. I stared wide-eyed. And my hand touched it without listening to the command. I'm not going to be able to do that. But I'm going to be able to do it. He said. One thing is for sure. Matthew is really generous and deserves to be the president of the company. I touched it for 10 minutes and still couldn't get enough of it. He promised me that I could continue to touch it next time I needed it. On the condition that I would treat him to dinner. My face was red. Can I still be like this? Worthy of being sisters have the same blessings. One meal is nothing. I can treat him to 100 meals a day. I said seriously. Not only can I treat you to dinner, but I can also treat you to movies, zoos, and amusement parks. A half-twisted melon should be quite sweet. Right? Matthew half leaned on the sofa and gave me a good look. Seemingly smiling. Good. Hey, catch. The corners of my mouth cannot control upward. Hate to tell the world. My harem suspected someone. At this time, Kaizuko came back, carrying 2 big bags of food. Her eyes were lifeless and her head was empty. Brother, you are too heartless. Right. I asked you to carry them for me. And you said you weren't available. So what are you doing now? Watching cartoons. How old are you? Matthew azily glanced at me. Indeed. I'm not free. I'm babysitting your friend. My ears are red again. I was just touching his grandfather's lover. It was like cheating. Are we that kind of relationship? It's obviously a pure sisterly relationship. Kaizuko looked at the two of us suspiciously. I didn't show it on my face. Pretending to be calm. King Lee, let me help you. She immediately lamented. It is better to be girlfriends. Men just cannot be relied on. Back home. I can't wait to send a message to Matthew. Brightly ask him to come out for dinner tomorrow. I heard Kaizuko say. His brother opened another company. Can be busy. And behind the scenes want to know him too many people. I have to make the first move. Handsome. Are you coming out for dinner tomorrow? Matthew replied almost in seconds. Yes. I tried to ask again. Do you want to go to a movie tomorrow? Okay. The day after tomorrow at the amusement park? Yes. So the day after tomorrow? No problem. I looked at the words on my cell phone screen, and suddenly wondered if I could read. And didn't Kaizuko say his brother was super hard to get a date with? Is the company going out of business? After thinking about it, for a long time, I still think that the possibility of going out of business soon is very high. After all, the economy is not good right now. I now buy a 100 yuan bag, have to think before ordering. Prodigal dad. Strong mom. School-going sister. Broken him. My pity value for him went up a little more. Tears popped in my eyes and I gritted my teeth and transferred him $300,000. It would have been money I had saved up for a weekend trip. It's okay. Just go back to my dad and tell him that I'm talking about a man's high expenses. Matthew slowly typed out don't refuse. Just take it as my share. Count me in if you lose money. And share me half if you make money. Sister give money. Sister do not see and touch for nothing. See, I also sweetly find reasons for him. I can't help but praise myself for being so beautiful and kind-hearted. Matthew came to the appointment, but also very sophisticated with a set of tied male clothing. I'm a bit rheumatized, and I was so charmed that I shook when I walked down the street. Wobbly what? Are you drunk? Matthew saw me about to fall. Let me take his hand. I boldly down to hold. Digress. The original boy's hands look like this so warm. He was a little startled, then held on tightly. Then you can feel it more. Sister. I declare you are the living Huatuo. Do you know that my lost great-aunt for 7 months came back again and again just last night? Kaizuko sent a message. Her tone full of sorrow. My brother has been like a butterfly lately. Either doing push-ups or buying clothes. I replied, no way. Boys with boyfriends are like that. No wonder my sister is a peacock today. I'm warning you. Don't get on his case. You don't know. He's got a bunch of boys on his wide-eyed account every day. Blowing him off the charts. Oh, I'm a bit vain. I promised Kaizuko 800 times that I won't fall for his brother. In reality, I'm looking at his brother's wide-eyed account with both eyes open. But because I know the feast of his comments section. Usually just silently click on the original picture. Download and collect to the exclusive album I built for him. Quality men. Sister does not love men. Sister just crave his body. Thinking of this. I have a little confidence, you rest assured. I'm not interested in other people's boyfriends. Silently loosen the hand he was holding. Matthew froze for a moment and hastily held it again. I was a little upset and looked around. What if your boyfriend sees you? I summoned up the courage to ask. Matthew, brother. You have someone? Matthew stopped. Grasping the hand in front of my eyes raised. There is a person will not hold your hand. Little sister. He had an expression of looking at a big fool. I smiled like a fool even though my IQ is fine. That's good. Brother Matthew. You've got me pegged. I don't have a good sense of direction and often get lost. Matthew lowered his eyes. His smile deepened. Got it. Won't let you run away. Thank you, brother. In front of us is the restaurant that we have booked. After dinner, we went to see a movie. Taking advantage of the fact that no one was at the movie theater, I went up and down on him. His hands are really warm. I am a perennial uter uncold. I feel hot in the belly. I tried to peel off his clothes again. He caught it with a quick eye. Turned his head to look at me. The knot in his throat went up and down, as if he was holding back something. Don't do this outside. The crowd is not a good influence. I was a little aggravated. It's hard to be like this at home. Matthew leaned his head over. His warm nostrils gasped onto my face. And from behind. Our movements looked like we were kissing. My ears instantly read. A little want to escape. And even want to turn over the book downloaded on the internet. Writing Men's 99 Ploys to Revise the Revision. The guy in the back coughed twice. Matthew ignored it like he was deaf and leaned in close to my ear. Where do you want to be? Oh, I get it. Matthew is a double. Just as I'm about to meet him with my eyes squeezed shut. His cell phone vibrates twice at an inopportune time. This damn idolatrous plot. He answered it in a whisper. This is Matthew. What's up? Okay. Stay where you are and don't move. Wait for me. Kaizuko also messaged me. She gossiped. Rafia. I heard from my brother's friend that my brother has been going out on dates lately. He might have a dog outside. Look at Matthew's anxious face. Maybe it's some white moon calling him urgently. He's been turning down all kinds of girls my parents set him up with since he was a kid. Saying that he already has a crush and it has to be that person. So let's not mess around with it. Asked him to bring his family, and he said it was premature. I wasn't actually watching what Kaizuko said afterward, because Matthew told me that he had to go back to the office on an emergency right now. A friend had gotten hurt. I don't know how. My nose was sore. Grabbed his hand. And said in a resigned voice, Matthew. The movie is almost over. Is it okay if we watch it before we leave? He squatted down in front of me. his eyes shining brightly. I thought he agreed and smiled happily. I knew you wouldn't leave behind. But he let go of my hand. Rafi, yeah. Something happened to my friend. I have to go back. I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you some other time. You can go back by yourself in a taxi. Remember to send me the license plate number. I nodded my head blankly. In the moment Matthew turned around, my tears had fallen. I immediately deleted the book. 99 Schemes to Raid Men from my cell phone. In our line of work, it's most taboo to fall in love with the object of a rip-off. I was at the bar getting drunk, with some unsuspecting stares next to me. I tried to call Izuko and didn't get through. I called Matthew and didn't get through. I didn't have the guts to call my parents. I didn't have any friends in the strange city. I looked at Matthew's phone number in my address book over and over again. What was he doing? I sighed. Maybe he's coaxing his mistress. I have to admit, I lied. I knew Matthew a long time ago. It was for Matthew that I got in touch with Kaizuko. It was when I was in junior high school. My family had been cheated for a while and couldn't afford to get out of debt. And my dad had failed in business so often that he owed a bunch of debts. The debt collectors often surrounded our house on festive occasions, like the Mid-Autumn Festival and Chinese New Year, making a lot of noise and demanding money. If my mom couldn't find the money to pay them off, they started moving our furniture. Gone were the big things like the TV, refrigerator, washing machine, and sofa. So they started taking things that were visible to the naked eye. Coffee tables, stools, kettles, even my little desk with a limp leg. I cried and tried to get it back. Unsuccessfully. So my mom hugged me and cried, fished out an egg and a handful of hanging noodles from under the bed, and cooked me a bowl of egg noodles. Rafi, yeah, don't cry. Mommy's here. Eat the noodles. Then you won't cry, haha. Wait for Dad. He will be back soon. I couldn't get enough to eat at school, and I was constantly receiving bullies asking me to pay protection money. But I couldn't even afford to buy breakfast. I don't even know how they thought I was rich. Until a yellow hair lifted my chin with his dirty hand. This chick is good looking. If you don't have any money, take yourself against your debt. It turns out I inherited my mom's beauty. My dad is a famous high school student in the countryside. And my mom is a beautiful woman who is praised by her neighbors. Their marriage was a popular story in our area. Not to mention that my dad went to sea and made his first bucket of gold. And the townspeople looked at him straight in the eye. I was only 14 at the time. My face hadn't even grown. And I was at best a pretty face. I spat at him viciously. You're a father's son. Not a father's son. What do I owe you? I don't owe you anything. Fuck you. I struggled like a madman, hitting them with whatever I had at hand. They struggled and cursed. And several of them came up and pulled me. I was even madder, not caring whether my body hurt or not. I only had one thought in my mind, to get rid of them all. Suddenly the surroundings gradually quieted down. A person squatted down next to me, drew out 2 pieces of tissue paper and handed it to me. Sister, don't cry. They were all beaten away by me. Wipe it off. Like a little kitten. You did a good job. Very brave. When you meet this kind of people, you should not compromise. But next time, you still need to protect yourself first. You can tell your teachers and parents. Safety first. I recognize him. He is Matthew, who is a senior in the school next door. I've heard of him. He's good looking. He gets good grades. He often participates in competitions and is praised on TV. Matthew's presence was as bright as the sun above his head, with everyone around him avoiding him like a snake. His presence was the only light that shone into the cracks in my critical years, so that no matter how much difficulty I faced in the future, my heart was filled with this beam of light. He picked me up, took me to the hospital, and thoughtfully asked where my house was. The side of the teenager's face is smooth and handsome, probably because of the years of burying his head in hard study and not seeing the sun. His skin has a kind of pale texture. Why don't you talk? I dare not tell him. only whispered thank you, and ran away. Later, my father developed, paid off his debts, and took my mom and me with him to the field. We lived a life of fine clothes and food, and I slowly came out of those dark days, becoming heartless. I always wanted to find him and say thank you to him face to face. But by the time I gathered the courage to go back after the college entrance exam, the place had been demolished. The Zhang family had even moved to nowhere. It wasn't until I went to college that I met Kaizuko from the student union, who said she had a brother who was particularly handsome. I casually teased her. How handsome? She was unguarded and showed me a picture of her brother. How is he? Isn't he incredibly handsome? I was shocked. Such as an arrow shot straight to the heart. Hot eyes. And quickly nodded. I was already a bit of a friend of hers and looked at her hopefully. I don't want to be left out. Can you introduce me to him? Don't even think about it. Kaizuko crossed her arms and shook her head, painfully saying, my brother. He is bent. Waiter. 2 more bottles. A white hand held back my drink. Don't drink. You're drunk. What a pain in the ass. I opened my eyes in a blur. Yo, it's Matthew. The man of the day. It's my fault for missing him so much. Anyone looks like him. I had the audacity to pinch the left side of his face. And then the right side of his face. Shaking my head. I lied. Matthew wasn't as skinny as you. He had 8-pack ABS and a bit of cheek meat. I was mesmerized for a while and fell asleep on the table. It's better to dream. I can be all saucy and stuffed up on Matthew. Matthew sighs and says to the bartender, how much? I'll pay. He tries to pull me up. Go go go. Back to your house. I sputtered, no. No, I'm not going anywhere without Matthew. Matthew laughed in exasperation. But where would you be if you opened your eyes? If I didn't have a friend who happened to be here, I wouldn't even know you were a good girl secretly getting drunk. I'm so sad. I'm dropping little pearls. Matthew's no good. The dog man left me and ran off. Went off to find his crush. There's no hard evidence. But I'm done brainstorming about them having a second child. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Even to the point of hitting someone. Dog man Rue in my life. Take a life. When Matthew finally panted and subdued me, he gritted his teeth. Still fighting? I conceded completely and lowered my head. No more fighting. Good. He patted his back and came up. Dog man. Count you know what to do. I have fierce bounce on it. Hey. Be gentle. Crush my waist. You pay? I slowly nodded my head. But unfortunately he couldn't see it. Well, I'm willing to pay for it. It's just that you don't want it. I have a small house outside the school. I also invited Kaizuko in to live for a while. Maybe Kaizuko's mouth is like a leaky spoon. Everything goes out. In any case, I watched Matthew take the key towards my pocket with a very skillful movement. This made me very suspicious of his motives for bringing me home. I took it upon myself to poke him in the back of his mind. You're not good enough for me? Matthew was helping me find a hot towel. Spinning like a gyroscope in the living room. Oh, what would it take to be good enough? I was silent for half a second and came up with a bad idea. I've been in a lot of fights. So I have to test the goods first. Matthew's foot stopped as he was about to step into the bathroom. And he looked a bit sulky. Do you know what you're talking about? For the sake of your drunkenness. Say it again. As I said before, I'm an E-man. He threatened me so much. I'm sure I'm not in fear. So I bravely retaliated. I have a lot of experience in real life. But your sister said that you've never been in love. I lied again. In fact, I have not talked about. The Light has a few large books and hundreds of megabytes of various network theory experience. But I couldn't lose face. Matthew had stood in front of me. His 183 height was a bit of a shock to me. And I wimped out, and took 2 steps back. Sobering up a bit. But not much. I started babbling, your pecs aren't as big as my first love's. You're not as tall as my second boyfriend. You're not as fit as my third ex-boyfriend. And you're barely even with the fourth in terms of looks. Matthew lifted my chin. My eyes are full of mesmerized light. His mouth ba what is saying. I cannot hear at all. His lips were so pink. I wanted to kiss them. I'm sure I would have been a little more reserved. But I'm so drunk and horny right now. I kissed. And whistled. And bit. Just those two thin lips. How is it as tantalizing as its owner? I couldn't resist another kiss. Matthew was already frozen in place. And on the principle of no kiss for nothing, I started to eat tofu by all means while he didn't react. Eventually, I don't know who initiated the offense. And by the time I reacted, we were already kissing on the bed. Matthew lowered his eyes. Rafi, are you awake now? My sanity was firm. Matthew, I am more awake than ever. I told you. I crave your body. I'm not sober. I'm not sober. Tofu is out of the question if you don't eat it. I still understand this. Matthew is a man of high morals. He wouldn't kiss me while he was seeing someone. But I still had to ask him, are you seeing someone? No, he offered to reach out. But now he does. Well, how is a temporary object not an object? We had a painful night. Like fish out of water. Becoming each other's oxygen. And it was hard to tell the difference in the battle. When I woke up the next day, I was a mess and sore. I banged my hungover head and glanced at my cell phone. A dozen missed calls. All from Kaizuko, to whom I sent a message to report my safety. Kaizuko was in shock. Scared me to death. I'm glad you're okay. My brother is not a save, said the company overtime. Added to the present. Did not expect it. Overtime added to my bed. Matthew's still by my side. Still asleep. And he's not much better. Either with hickeys or bite marks. The company is on the rise. He must be sleep deprived. It's better not to wake him up. When I think about it, I am really gentle and considerate. His cell phone suddenly lit up and flashed in a message. And good grief, I saw it, with my sharp eyes. Matthew, where are you? I need you. One look at the avatar and it was definitely a soft and cuddly boy. The thought of Kaizuko saying that he has a long time pronounced white moonlight made my heart suddenly ache a little. Snapping out of last night's ridiculouslies, I looked at him quietly for a minute as a goodbye. I can eat once. I am already very satisfied. Dare not think of a lifetime. People still do not want to force people. Thinking about it, I decided to be the first to complain. And to bite back. Left him a note. I already know your sexual orientation. Last night's things. As if it did not happen. I do not need you to be responsible. And do not like you like this. And I, Rafia, will never be a co-wife. You be good for yourself. I huffed and puffed and wrote it. Didn't even dare to pack my bags and left my house with my shoes in my dust. I closed the door and cursed myself for being a loser. This is my house. My home. If you want to go. It's him who should go. And I'm white and beautiful. I'm a great beauty. Where did he lose out? He made a fortune. Okay? I went to a random hotel and cried for 2 hours with my head covered before taking a taxi to the airport with red and swollen eyes. Mom and Dad have long called me home. Let me go on vacation. I crave Matthew. Lied about something at school. Has been delayed, did not go back. When I got off the plane, my father was waiting for me in the car. I wanted to cry. But I held it back. Dad, I'm back. Dad was so happy that he couldn't stop talking. Go, daughter. Your mom has been thinking about you for a long time. Are you tired of studying? If you're tired, I'll send you abroad. Ooh. Dad still loves me the most. I opened my cell phone to see Matthew's bombardment of text messages rushing in. I closed my eyes and did not dare to read any of them. For fear that he would say something heartbreaking. I have a glass heart. Fascinated, I opened my eyes a crack to sneak back on and shut it off again. Probably seeing him send something about a sexually bent white moonlight crush or something like that. And dropped a small pearl. Had to coax himself. Vacation. But is not to be clean ears. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know. I do not want to hear. Do not want to know. It is a little want to see the big-eyed boy's ABS photo. Think. Hold back. Open the quality Malalo. After thinking about it again, I open quality men. My periods are irregular again and I'm vomiting frequently. At first I thought I had eaten something bad. And then I had a vague suspicion. I went to the drugstore and bought a pregnancy test. And when I saw 2 bars, the sky was falling. I don't dare to tell my parents. Although they urge me to get married from time to time, saying that they are old and want to have a small child to make the house lively. In fact, I know. They are afraid that I cannot forget the boy. Secretly advised me to find another. When they accompanied me back to my hometown, neighbors said they did not know where the Zhang family moved. The country's population is huge. Looking for a person is like looking for a needle in a haystack. But you did not expect it. This person was really found by me. Unfortunately, he's a crook. I also have a small number. Did not add Matthew. Only added Kaizuko. Listen to her spit. My brother crazy. The company did not go. Every day at home to buy drunk. Holding a bottle of wine crying that his crush ate him dry. Turned his head and ran away. My parents can be worried. Gray hair are more too. Asked who he is. And refused to say. Do you think he's fallen out of love? He even asked about you. I said back to him that none of your business. Do not hit your ghost ideas. I laughed along with her. You're my best friend. Kaizuko said. We're not the same person. He said. Rafi, yeah. When are you coming back? I miss you. My heart warmed and I couldn't help but tell her, I'm going back next Saturday. It's been 2 months. Matthew should have forgotten what happened. Right? I'm generous. I don't care. He's gone to find his crush. So I can't have a baby? Just after getting off the plane, I felt a grim gaze trailing behind me. My defenses were up and I took several hard turns around the city before heading home. When the elevator door opened, the sky collapsed. Hell. Seeing a live Matthew in broad daylight, I shivered and ducked into the elevator, not daring to take a step forward, looking at the sky and the earth, but not to see him full of hostility. I pressed the elevator door close but unfuriously. I haven't reached the floor yet. Matthew has always been calm and self-possessed. Rare anger. Carry chickens like to carry me out of the elevator. Said softly in my ear, Rafia. These 2 months you're dashing can be harmful to me. I have a bit of weakness. I did put on a bit of weight. He lost quite a lot of weight. I waved my hand. You do not eat? I have lost so much weight. I invite you to dinner? No need. You open the door. I pursed my lips, trembling to open the door. Living like an 80-year-old woman. Matthew sighed. Took the key in my hand. Let me go in first. I didn't dare to look back at him. I only heard him shout. What are you hiding? Come out. I didn't hide. I turned around to see my best friend Kaizuko walking with her head hanging down and taking turtle steps. Matthew seemed to have reached the end of his patience, and stepped forward to strangle Kaizuko's neck, pulling her into the house. I sat on the couch in shock, like a 3rd-grade student, and actually didn't know where to put my hands. I was just about to ask if they wanted tea and coffee. I just heard Matthew glaring angrily, holding his breath and asking Kaizuko, is that how you promote me outside? Who told you to go around saying I'm crooked? I'm straighter than a rocket. Matthew was really aggravated. He poured out his grievances for 3 hours. And Kaizuko and I were lectured by him for 3 hours. My own sister went around advertising that I was bent. My crushes thought I was bent. No wonder I've been widowed and alone for so many years. You're the one who sabotaged me? And you. What are you laughing at? You ran away after a quick night of fun. I take it you're not happy with me? Ow. Training to me. Showing big teeth immediately retracted. Kaizuko shook his head violently. Tears in his eyes. Who knows ah? You did not say ah. I also followed the pear blossom rain. I do not know ah. You did not say ah. Finally. He said he was tired and asked Kaizuo to go first. Kaizuko held my hand tightly. Not willing to let go. Painfully said, I am afraid you have evil intentions towards her. Matthew immediately threw her a glare. I'm still your brother? Kaizuko ignored it and hugged me tightly. Tears streaming down his face. How can you look at her? Obviously I know her earlier Ra. It's not fair. I cried and laughed. Coaxed this and that. And with great difficulty Kaizuko walked away while sprouting golden peas. Matthew watched her enter the elevator and close the door. His eyes were flirty and he looked like he wanted to eat me. Rafia. Let's settle the score. Rafia. Let's settle the score. They're running away so fast. Afraid I'll hold you responsible? I spilled my guts. I'm not afraid that you won't be responsible. But I'm afraid that you'll be responsible. I have thought about it. I will never like another person in my life. If I can have a child, I will go to the father and leave a child. Never let Matthew know. A person to raise. It is also quite good. Matthew has a good family background. Decent character. Good looks. High IQ. Good genes. No bad habits. Tadpole quality should be good. I can do without a man. But I want a child. Rafia. I forbid it. Uh-huh. Got it. Take charge. It was too late to say no. He took me in his arms. And there was that familiar faint sweet scent again. It's so calming. So comforting. So unsettling. For a long time. It was hard to free a hand to grab his hair. Washed his hair? He sweated profusely. Did hate it. Tied my hand back to its original position. Well. I heard you were coming back. I washed my hair and showered. And also went ahead to work out for a while. How is it? Is it satisfactory? I was so angry that my face turned to the side. You tied my hands. Can't touch them. Not good. Matthew smiled. His eyes were gentle. Why? Are you still angry? Let you touch. Feel free to touch. Touch enough. Just after. No longer allowed to leave without saying goodbye. I still wanted to make sure. And boldly stared at him. Your crush is me? How could it be me? That girl's desperate attempt to escape from danger. That exuberant vitality that poured out of her. Gave me a glimmer of life even when I was in depression. Rafia. You don't know that you were a light in my life too. You didn't tell me where you lived. I didn't know who you were. And if I had been braver that day, we wouldn't have missed each other for so long. My eyes welled up and I cupped his face and kissed him straight away. It pissed him off again. I snapped. Gently. The baby's here. At the door of the maternity check. Matthew carefully assisted me. Wife, be careful. Wife, slow down. The eyes of the people around were gradually attracted to him. I couldn't help but pinch him a little. Outside. Pay attention to the influence of the crowd. It is also a kind of return the words he said. He was aggrieved. Like a broken-hearted puppy. And sipped the left side of my face regardless. You are my wife, ah. Let them see. I was so happy that I couldn't help teasing him again. I'm not yet. My parents cannot afford to let me get married so early. Saying that it is okay to have children, but not to get married. My dad even said, don't want Matthew to raise. He will raise. The family has to be money. Matthew heard more anxious. Every day as soon as possible to run to my parents' home. To do filial piety, Tianwo girl. Hard to the two old people coaxed into a happy heart. He is even more sad. Wife. I joined the family. Okay? Give me a title? The child can't be without a father. I couldn't help but coax him. Stop it. Let's talk about it when we get back. Matthew skimmed his lips and bit my ear. You are my wife. You cannot escape. Once you graduate, I will marry you. I don't care. I'm committed to you in my life. If you don't want me, I'm stuck with you. Kaizuko, who helped me to register, saw this scene and looked a little disgusted. Don't stick so close to my best friend. Drooling all over her. Matthew is not convinced. She is my wife. I haven't got a license yet. What kind of wife is she? She is my best friend as a fake. We have kids. She's my family. She's been my friend for 800 years. And she's more my chosen family. I can kiss her. And get to lay under the covers with her. I can too. We go to bed earlier than you. I held my forehead and laughed bitterly as the two elementary school chickens argued and got a headache. Here Kaizuko can't beat his brother and cries again. So it's over. We have to coax another one. 46 Raffia. Consulting room 1. Here he comes. Kaizuko was holding a bunch of materials for me. Matthew was holding me carefully. This scene was so warm that I was a bit moved. Baby. You came into this world to be blessed. We all love you very much. Of course. Mommy is even happier. Extra Matthew. In high school, I participated in a lot of competitions. Coupled with the fact that things at home were a little bad. My parents were always arguing for a divorce. I started to get a little depressed. I couldn't sleep. I took a lot of sleeping pills. And my mental state was a little precarious. That day after school just want to say a casual walk. Take a break. I did not expect to meet a gang of yellow hair robbery. I looked at that girl all dirty. But her eyes were so bright. She was so brave. Using everything she could throw at hand. Not giving in at all. Come on. You guys. Come over here. I will pull it back in any case. You guys come on. Suddenly a surge of strength rose in my heart. She was so skinny and small. But she seemed to have endless vitality. If she can do this, why should I be disillusioned? The world was bright. The future was brilliant. And I still had many dreams I wanted to pursue that I hadn't accomplished. I reached out to help her. As if I had helped myself who was hiding in the darkness and did not dare to come out. She cried. Cried very sad. I checked. A little trauma. Took her to the hospital to bandage up. And finally wanted to send her home. She refused to say. Ran and ran far away. How I could not catch up. Later. I regretted that I didn't go after her that day. Because we relocated quickly and I never met her again. She stayed so plainly in my heart. Whenever it was late at night, I thought of her. And when I thought of her, there was a lot more indescribable strength in my heart. I went to college and created a business. And my career was smooth sailing. I heard people say that opening an account can expand the popularity. I thought, what if it? But I did not expect. Into my home page are some zero. I'm a little overwhelmed. But there are still some people in the silent support me. Think of her. I gritted my teeth and insisted. Later I realized that she was really reading it. And my efforts were not in vain. Of course. I could only show it to her later. When I saw her again later. It was in my sister's circle of friends. And they turned out to be good friends? They were hugging sweetly and happily and singing happy birthday together. I admit I was a little jealous of my sister. The person I've been pining for is actually hugging you? While I was figuring out how to invite her over. She came over. I didn't dare make a noise. I heard my sister say that she knew my wide-eyed boy account too. So, I started my 800 fakes. Hey. Hey. She really loves to look. And loves to touch. It's so colorful. Are you touching me alone? Or the others too? It's so different from when I was a kid. Isn't it? After I added her contact info, I set her up as a special concern. So I'd know the first time she sent me a message. She asked me to dinner and a movie to go to the amusement park zoo. I was so excited that I did not sleep well all night. Light with the clothes. In the movie theater. She thieves heart. I heart happy. But still have to pay attention to the public place. I wanted to continue to ask her. But a friend temporarily out of something. I have no choice but to let her go back by herself. When I finished, I got a message from another friend saying that my favorite girl was getting drunk at the bar. And he was watching, telling me to hurry up and get over there. I was so anxious. I rushed over there. She was really drunk. And she said some nonsense words. My crush. Isn't he right in front of me? Wasn't it obvious enough that I was holding hands? I took her back to her house and tried to wipe her face. But she said she had been through a lot. I felt a little sorry for her and a little sorry for myself. Nope. She's high-mouthed. Right? Can't even kiss? And King Lee said that she's a mother single. And that she's been thinking about someone in her heart. Wait a minute. That person. It can't be me. Right? A one-night stand. And she runs off with a bucket, and says I'm gay. Or I'm gay. Or I don't know? Or is she not satisfied with my skills? The first time is always a little rough. But later on, isn't it? I finally caught her. She was hiding in the elevator. I couldn't bear to see her. So I gently carried her out. But she was dying. Did I hit her too hard? I asked Kaizuko to apologize and explain clearly. They are good. The same alliance. Really good girlfriends. Now that things have been explained clearly, I can come to collect the debt. In the depths of her love, her eyes were misty. She was completely drunk and said, "Be gentle. The child is here." What child? Is it the child I'm thinking of?